I'd like to call a meeting to order. It is 7 o'clock, December 13th, 2018. And I'd like to begin with the pledge to the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I have a motion to accept the agenda? Made by John Merwin, seconded by Chris Kennan. All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have any public comment on agenda items only? If not, I see we have our representative from the police here. Dave?
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So we saw Thanksgiving, so I hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving. And
Very nice.
let's see, will we see each other? We won't see each other before the
Probably not.
holidays. Until next year, right?
Yeah, hopefully not,
January,
yeah.
that's right.
Means we're in trouble if we did.
I see most of you guys anyway. But. So, for the month of November, we had almost exactly what we had last year. As far as total number of calls or incidents, we had 15 in the town and we had 13 in the village. Last year we had 14 in the town and 18 in the village, but still right around that same mark, about 30, 28 this year and 32 last year. In the town, we actually had 4 arrests. That was included in the 15 incidents. We had 2 arrests in the village, so we actually had more arrests in the town than in the village. And highlighting the arrests that we had an assault arrest from one of our businesses in the town. There was a DWAI arrest, which is driving while ability impaired by drugs. And there were 2 DWI arrests. In the village, they were both traffic misdemeanor arrests for driving without or revoked or suspended license. So the DWAI arrest that was made led to another arrest and took a fentanyl heroin dealer off the street. So we're very happy with that. We involved other agencies. I don't want to get too detailed. At some point, there's probably going to be, publication by the assisting, or they took the lead on things with that. So anyway, there may or may not be a press release. I don't know. I think there will be. So that was about it. So it's been not a lot of incidents, but it's certainly been a very productive month. Yes. So,
Good.
Do you have a number for arrests last year?
Last year, there was 1 arrest in the town and 4 in the village.
Mm-hmm. So it comes out about the same.
About the same. One additional arrest this year as opposed to last year. And I didn't happen to see what they were for. I think there were at least a couple of DWIs and a couple suspended or revoked licenses. That's a very frequent thing that we get when you stop a car. A lot of people, especially in New York State, is on this. They're trying to clean up old tickets that people ignored, and as a result of it, probably the court clerk is somebody who can better address that. But it's created a lot of people's. Generally out of state, their license is suspended and revoked. So that's a whole other thing.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like that one arrest that you took part in was a progress.
It's definite progress. And again, like I said, just keep attuned. I'm sure that there will be press
Which was the
release.
lead agency on? The county?
We were, but we turned it over to Drug Task Force, basically.
Okay.
Yep. So I'll leave it at that. Like I said, I think we're probably going to see more of their you know, when things like that happen, they want the news to get out to people. But if, you know, again, it was as a result of a 911 call that we got, an arrest that was made by our agency, and just, you know, astute skills of, you know, our guys, and then the guys that, you know, took over a further investigation afterwards. So,
Yeah.
so good teamwork, and, you know, more to come, I hope. So I think they are aware that, you know, we're very isolated here. We don't have the same, they don't visit us as much as, say, the city of Poughkeepsie, because, you know, we're a lot more sparsely populated. But it doesn't mean that we don't have the same things going on here that, you know, are throughout the county. And so when something like this happens, we're very, very pleased that they're taking notice, you know. And again, we don't have the wherewithal to do it, but we try to give them whatever information we can, you know. It's not that we don't know of things going on in the village or the town, but we don't have the wherewithal to make a, you know, you have to go through, make buys and everything else. It's a very involved process, what the state requirements are for a successful prosecution. So that's why we get other people involved. And this time around, they took notice, and it led to fentanyl is extremely, extremely dangerous.
Right.
It's much more dangerous than heroin by itself. So, you know, that's one of my fears before retirement, is coming across that, because it could kill any one of us if we just touched it. It gets absorbed through the skin. It's nothing that has to go airborne or anything else. So if it's, you know, if it's on something that you touch, you could immediately go into, you know, somebody'd have to give you Narcan, and it's, you know, to identify that, since, you know, we just pretty much go about our business. You get a call for somebody who's non-responsive, you know, you have time to prepare for that. But the rest of us, if we contacted something like that, it's not like that would be the first thought of, you know, a rescue squad person. It's like, oh, what's going on with this person?
Just touching
Heart attack?
it?
Just touching it. Yep. They actually
So
have.
how do you identify the product? I mean, how do you
How
know?
would I?
Yeah, how do you know?
You treat everything it would be like a white powder, you know, cocaine, heroin, fentanyl.
So in
all
other
that
words, it's the
stuff.
lab tested and then they determine that it's fentanyl?
Usually, it's that determination is made. You don't always know what it is. We have test kits in the kit. I wouldn't even mess with most anything these days. I'd send it up to the state police lab and, you know, package it the way we're supposed to package it for them, and let the experts do it. And we don't have to make an immediate arrest. We can wait until it's field tested by the state police lab. You know, it might be a month away, but, you know, if I'd rather not have to chance, you know, getting in contact with that. So
Wow.
we would recover it. We have gloves, but even fentanyl, there's some types of gloves that it can penetrate. So that's why it's just one of these things that's extremely dangerous in today's world, and it's very, very common around now these days. So it's one of the things we have to deal with. So anytime you go to any of these things, you put on a pair of gloves, and you see a strange white powder, put on a pair of gloves. Hopefully everybody has at least, you know, a set or two. If they don't, then come and see me, and I'll be happy to dole out a few pairs. So, but, you know, again, generally you guys aren't going to come across that. But if you have any suspicion whatsoever, you get the right people involved in it and let them make a determination. So, anyway, more to come on that. Bless you. Any other questions?
No.
Okay, so I hope everybody has a happy holiday and holidays, and we'll see you next year.
Yep, you too.
All right.
Thank you,
And
Dave.
don't hesitate to get in touch with me. So these statistics, just so you guys know, we have more detailed reports going to the village. So I'm going to try to have them done by the time I come and see you guys. So it'll be a list of all the things that we handled and a brief description, no names or any,
Right.
anything like that. Unless it's a press release, then of course I send out the press release. But basically it'll have a list of all these, when you hear there's 15 incidents in the town, you don't always know, we assisted the rescue squad, we did this, we did that, we did the other, but I'm gonna have a list. I'll do the same thing for the town as I'm doing now for the village. It was requested by one of our board members, so we're just gonna make that a common thing that happens every month. Okay? And I'm sure that
Thank you.
Mr. Veeder, come April, that's when he's gonna be taking over for me. I'm still gonna be here, but he's gonna be taking over, so you'll be seeing more of Mr. Veeder. I may have him come in March just to, do you guys know who Sergeant Veeder is? Mike
Well-
Veeder? Yes, you guys do, but yes, I think I told you guys I'm stepping down
Yeah.
April 1st. I'm just gonna be a regular police officer without whatever responsibility. I have no idea what his plan is, but it'll be up to Sergeant Veeder to figure out how to align everything. But anyway, so hopefully I'll get him in
Thank you for
here.
all you've done.
Yes, we appreciate everything you've done, Dave.
Thank you. So, yeah, it's time. I'm thinking more to retirement, and I'm not exactly sure when I'm gonna be retiring, but it could be within the 2 years, and that's one of the reasons I don't wanna start, under a new mayor or under our current mayor, and then, have to step down in the middle of the mayor's term. So I just think it's a good time to say, let somebody else work on being in charge, and hopefully we'll have good ideas, and we can keep on moving forward, right?
Very good.
There you
So
go.
anyway,
All right.
all right.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bob, highway?
The new plow truck was delivered this morning. Everything looks good. It will be put in service tomorrow. And everything else with the department is going well.
Okay.
We gonna get a ride?
Absolutely. Stop down.
Wanna come up on the gun club?
Only if you drive.
Okay, cool.
Okay, very good.
Thanks, Bob.
I don't believe we have a report from the assessor this month, but you have in your packets there from the planning, zoning, building department. And there is also one from the town clerk. Do you have anything to add to that,
No.
Lisa? Okay. I don't know of any other committee activity that has taken place. I would like to just make the announcement that we do have a position that's going to be opening in the building department for a secretary. It will involve, at this point, starting off about 10 to 15 hours a week, which at a later date, after they have learned the process within the building department of what's required, we'll be expanding to probably doing record keeping, record retention. So if anyone knows of anyone who might be interested in that, we'd certainly be happy to hear. Thank you.
George, in connection with the CAC, I don't think they had a meeting beginning of this month, but as a byproduct of that, I did attend a NYSERDA seminar on lighting, on retrofitting fluorescent bulbs for LEDs, and the energy savings and the greenhouse gas emissions reduction and so on. It was down in Croton on Hudson, and it was done by somebody who's in Croton, who was a professional lighting engineer, and they retrofitted their village hall, which is very impressive, with lights and showing different kinds of lights, the different patterns that they give off and so on. So it was, and Kathy Chow went down as well from the CAC. So
Good.
we learned a fair bit. Mostly I learned how much I don't know about fluorescent lights. And I do understand that these ones that were put in are LED.
These were actually put in 2012. We switched over to LED lights at that point. They have come out with some other lighting since that point that is a little different than what we currently have. But when we did contact NYSERDA on that, they said actually for what we have here, that's sufficient for what we need.
Yeah.
So,
When the time comes for the actual specs for the new highway garage, that will be an
That's-
opportunity
yes.
to put in lighting that is,
exactly.
that is current.
Yes.
They have, it was interesting to see in the Croton Town Hall, they have a stairwell where there is one of these lights that is motion sensitive. And when there's nobody going up or down, it reduces its light by about 50 or 60%. As soon as somebody appears, it lights up. So there's always light, but it reduces the energy usage of the fixture. It's really amazing where technology has gone, especially in terms of being able to turn lights on and off in rooms where there aren't people.
Yeah, yeah. One of the major claims against LED has always been because of the brightness. But they do have lighting now that does take that into account and is a much softer light.
Right.
These
Good.
don't vibrate the way fluorescents do. This is a fluorescent
Some do.
lighting
Some
sometimes
do and
bothers
some-
my eyes.
yeah.
It vibrates.
Yeah.
And one of the things that's called flicker, and it's one of the things that we learned actually quite a bit about. And they gave out little spinning wheels that you can use, and you can just put it under a fluorescent light, and if it's giving off flicker, which could be disruptive, and for certain people it can even
Yeah.
induce seizures.
Yeah.
You can tell whether a light has that problem, but most of them today don't. They operate at such a high frequency, of oscillation that you don't have that problem.
Well, good, you can teach us a great deal more about
No,
this
no,
as
I
we go
can't.
along. Next, I'd like to set the holiday schedule for town employees. And for Christmas, normally we have a half a day off for New Year's, or for Christmas Eve, and the day off, of course, for Christmas. In the past, it's kind of fallen on a weekend, so that there's always been at least a 4-day weekend. What I suggest this year is that instead of have the half day off on Monday and then have Tuesday as Christmas, that we take the full day off on Monday. Any objections to that, or comment, or?
Sounds like a good idea.
Okay.
Thanks,
All
thank
right.
you.
And actually, the same thing occurs really with New Year's. We have New Year's Eve is the 31st, and New Year's is the 1st. So if there's any objection, we will have a 4-day weekend that time as well. If there's any objection. Okay, can I have a motion to,
So moved.
made by
Approved.
Ralph and seconded by
Second.
John Millwood, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I'm going to hold off on the pilot law until Warren gets here. He should be here now, actually. I'd like to set the reorg meeting for January 2nd at 5 o'clock with a snow date of January 3rd. Any discussion in relation to that? Okay, can I have a motion to set that as the date for the reorg meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Made by John Merwin, seconded by Chris Kennan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. We have a budget adjustment. Budget adjustment number 10 for 2018. A fund. We have an expense increase of $63,689, less an expense decrease of $2,210, less a revenue increase of $61,479. In B fund, we have a general, which is general town outside, we have an expense increase of $1,244, less an expense decrease of $612, less a revenue increase of $632. DB fund, we have an expense increase of $119,078, less a revenue decrease of $119,078. Can I have a motion to approve the budget adjustment?
So moved.
Made by John Merwin, seconded by
Second.
Ralph Fidelli. All in favor?
Aye.
I have a special abstract dated November 20th, 2018, totaling $23,867.35, broken down as follows. A fund, $3,294.55. B fund, $17,500. DB fund, $2,862.65. Payroll TNA, $210.15. Can I have a motion to accept the special abstract?
So moved.
Made by Ralph Fidelli, seconded by Chris Kennan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I have a special abstract dated December 4th, 2018, totaling $65,383, broken down as follows. A fund, $30,730. B fund, $7,192. DB fund, $27,461. Can I have a motion to accept the special abstract?
So moved.
Made by John Merwin, seconded by
Second.
Ralph Fidelli. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I have an abstract dated December 13th, 2018, totaling $238,212.95, broken down as follows. A fund, $96,501.46. B Fund, $107,004.31. DB Fund, $34,497.03. Payroll TNA, $210.15. Can I have a motion to accept the abstract?
So moved.
Motion made by Chris Kennan, seconded by
Second.
John Midwood. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, voucher committee meeting for January. John Midwood and Ralph Fidel. Warren is here. How are you tonight, Warren? Good. Can we proceed then with the resolution for the payment in lieu of taxes law, the pilot law, and set the date for, we'll set the date then for the public meeting. You have the resolution, Lisa, would you please read that?
It's a resolution commencing the local law adoption process. It's whereas the town of Northeast enacted local law number 3 of the year 2018 entitled A Local Law to Regulate Solar Energy Systems and facilitate and to amend the schedule of use regulations to provide for those facilities. Upon defining that it is in the public interest to provide for and encourage renewable energy systems and a sustainable quality of life, and to facilitate the development and operation of renewable energy systems based upon sunlight while minimizing the adverse impacts of neighboring properties so as to protect the public health, safety, and welfare. And whereas Section 487(2) of the real property tax law provides in relevant part that real property, which includes a solar energy system, in accordance with the provisions of said section, shall be exempt from taxation to the extent of any increase in the value thereof by reason of the inclusion of such solar energy system for a period of 15 years. Real property tax law for section 487(6) provides in relevant part that such exemption shall be granted only upon the application by the owner of real property on a form prescribed and made available by the Commissioner in cooperation with the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority. And whereas real property tax law, section 487AA, provides in relevant part that a town may, by resolution or local law, provide that no exemption under this section of the law shall be applicable within its jurisdiction with respect to any solar energy system which begins construction subsequent to January 1st, 1991, or the effective date of such local law, ordinance, or resolution, whichever is later. The town of Northeast has not to date adopted such a local law or resolution. Real property tax law, section 487(9)(a) provides in relevant part that a town which has not acted to remove the exemption under said section may require the owner of a property, which includes a solar system, which meets the requirements of real property tax law, section 487, to enter into a contract for payment in lieu of taxes. Said section also provides in relevant part that such contract may require payment of annual amounts in amounts not to exceed the amounts which would otherwise be payable but for the exemption under this section. In addition, real property tax law, section 487(9)(a) provides that if the owner or developer of such a system provides written notification to the town of its intent to construct such a system, then in order to require the owner or developer of such system to enter into a contract for payments in lieu of taxes, such taxing jurisdiction must notify such owner or developer of its intent to require a contract for payment in lieu of taxes within 60 days of receiving the written notification. The town board has determined that it would be in the best interest of the town and its citizens to require the owner of a property, which includes a solar farm, as that term is defined in section 170-73B of the town code, and permitted pursuant to the provisions of 170-73 of the town code to enter into a pilot agreement. And whereas the town attorney to the town, with the input of the town assessor, has drafted a local law amending the town of Northeast Code to establish a new Article 5 of Chapter 155, requiring the owner of a property which includes a solar farm energy system approved pursuant to the provisions of Section 170-73 of the town code to enter into a contract for payments in lieu of taxes. And whereas the town board has received said local law and determined that the same was acceptable for purposes of commencing the local law adoption process. Now therefore be resolved that the town board hereby schedules a public hearing on the adoption of this local law for January 10th, 2019 at 7:15, and be it further resolved that the town board give notice of said public hearing in accordance with the requirements of the law.
That should be town clerk. That give notice. Town board, so we just, it was our typo, so.
Oh, the last resolved?
Yeah.
Town clerk. Okay.
Also, you've got the spelling.
Also, I'm gonna change it, the second to last, after now therefore, because this is gonna probably be local law 1 of 2019.
Right, we're doing it now, so it'll just change over to local law number 1 of 2019. You only assign the number once you pass it, actually.
Okay, this motion was offered by the town board member, John Merwin, was seconded by town board member Chris Kennan.
All right, Ron. Gotta be fast.
You lost your chance.
We have to do a roll call. George?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Ralph?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
And John?
Aye.
Okay. Warren, do you have anything else?
Minor things, I'm assuming we got the bid on the engineering services?
That is tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow, okay. So let me know what happens on that.
I will.
Okay. And there was just one other issue that we needed to resolve. We haven't quite done it with the county on the shared highway garage and fuel storage facility, where we had asked them to change the breakdown on the grant. We wanted to use 75 for legal engineering for phase 1, 50 for legal aid, engineering for phase 2, and the remainder of 115 to be applied to actual construction for both phases.
Actually, it's a little bit different than that, Warren.
You know,
What happened on this was that the original grant that was given to us was for the engineering aspect of which was for the total for the storage, fuel, salt shed, and highway was something like $383,000. We were granted $240,000. But what, in discussions with the county, since they don't like to have it run over for 2 or 3 years, they suggested that we use the grant that we currently have in phase 1. Now, what that means is we have, I believe it's 75,000 was projected as the engineering cost for phase 1. The remainder of the 240,000 then could be used for the actual construction of that phase. This will mean that we will be able to satisfy their requirement of having, hopefully within a year's period of time, that we would utilize the total of their 240,000 grant.
right. That's what I was indicating was the first
Okay.
salvo, but they revised the scope of services in accordance with which you requested. And I need to just make sure everybody's comfortable with that, and I'll move forward with the county and getting the contract. ready. We still have to make a decision on what we're going to do about putting it out to bid for engineering services. And I don't know if that's something you want to discuss in executive session because it's somewhat of a personnel issue.
Yes, it is.
And if we could take a few minutes to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Is there anything else that can be
That's all.
discussed in open
Pretty
session?
cool. Yeah.
Well, I was confused
Yeah.
about Schedule A, when you take a look at their definition of Phase 1 is not what you really mentioned now, and what I was assuming. Phase 1 was going to be the
Phase 1 is, it reads in there,
Storage.
it reads in there, I think, fuel, and it should not. It should read storage.
it also says the entire project.
So this is how they
No.
describe it, so let's
Yeah.
go
No,
over
but
this.
that, no, that is a correction that needs to be made.
Okay, so
yes.
let's go over that to make sure that I properly convey that to the county.
Yes.
So what they put in here is construction of a joint 4,800 square foot, 4-bay, Town 3, Village 1 storage building and a joint fueling facility, including space for aquatic weed harvester, which will be used to control weeds in Rudd Pond. As phase
Yes.
1.
That is Phase 1. And the fuel depot,
But we're saying Phase 1 is the
storage building.
storage facility, and that's not what that says.
It does say the
This-
4,800
It
square.
says 4,800 square feet is the combined town-village facility.
Town village.
Big difference.
Storage.
So what is
facility.
what is the square foot of the, oh, I see, so they should be, are we talking about the 3,200 square foot?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that- no,
So they have it
that's-
screwed up then,
Yeah, that's not, it should not be included within that.
okay. So the phase 1 will be the, just the 3,200 square foot,
No, Phase 1 is just the 48,000 square foot
oh, 4,800,
4-bay, or 4,800
right,
storage building and joint fueling facility.
that's what they have.
But Phase 2 is not a part of that. That should not be included
Right, the
within that.
phase 2 should be taken out of that.
Yes,
Okay. Are we okay with that? Okay.
yeah.
All right, I'll talk with Christie and get that changed for the contract.
Okay.
Okay.
And also, just looking at the back, the budget breakdown, it shows contractual consulting as 125,000. It's actually, that includes both Phase 1 and Phase 2. That should be 75,000 for Phase 1, and the remainder of that go into the construction. So instead of 115,000, that should be 165,000.
Okay. All right, I'll review that with Christie and make sure they're okay with that.
Okay.
Get the scope changed.
And when you're talking to them, if you can, I think I mentioned to you before about maybe some flexibility in how that, because we don't know exactly what the engineering costs are going to be. They may be
So if we
more,
want
they
to
may be
exceed
less than that,
75.
75. That's an estimate.
And then, so it's less
So
than we'll
if
carry
we-
over the rest of the
Yes,
construction?
just flexibility within there.
Okay, let me work that out with her.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody thinks of anything else between, I'm not sure whether I'll be speaking to her tomorrow or Monday, get back to me as soon.
Yep.
George, you want to just describe how you see the schedule then proceeding for the
Well,
first is an RFP?
For the engineering.
yeah, I had hoped that we would be doing this at a much earlier phase than what we're doing. But what has basically happened is that since we've received the $240,000 grant, they have put certain restrictions on there, or certain requirements on there that we do. And the first of those is that we, of course, go out for the RFP for the engineering. Now that hopefully will take place here shortly. I'd like to get that out as soon as possible, because then the second part of that is that after the engineers then have gone through the process of estimating the various different costs associated with the first phase. Then we will be going out with bid documents for the construction phase. Everything, if it goes correctly, and hopefully it does, on hopefully a time schedule, I'd like to get, start construction as early in the spring as we can do it. So that's what the plan is. That's what the hope is. I found out that oftentimes things don't exactly go according to plan here.
So until we know what the engineering costs are, we won't be able to know what we're sending our bonding out for. It'll be the difference, right?
Well, as far as what the costs are going to be, yeah, we have the grant.
Right.
We have to know from the engineering aspect what the projected construction costs are going to be. We will have some of the fund balance that will go towards this. An amount that will have to be determined based on what the construction costs are.
Right.
And that any additional amount would be bonded or banned, depending on how we decide to do
Yeah,
that.
we always, when we bond it, we always have put a flexibility in there to do a bond anticipation notes, which we
Yes.
have. So.
Yeah. Anything else? Bill?
If I may. So I understand that you're planning on going into executive session to discuss the bid process. And I understand that the reason being listed is that it resembles personnel matters. I just want to make it understood that the phrase personnel matters does not appear anywhere in the open meetings law, but there is a section, section 105F, which says that the medical, financial credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation are potential reasons for entering into executive session. So I think that your bid process could fit under that, but you should be clear in your motion that that's what you want to invoke. I would also say that if there's no clear reason why you need to exclude the public from this discussion, that you probably should not go into executive session. If it's just, that you're going to be discussing things related to a bid process, which is typically, part of government business, it doesn't seem like you want to exclude the public, and that's the end of my comment.
Okay, so I recommend, rather than fighting over that, that we just adjourn the meeting, go into an attorney-client session so I can give you legal advice on the bidding process, and then you can come back into public session and make your decision if you make a decision. There'll be no decisions made in the attorney-client session.
Would that mean that the discussion would be about a reference to the law? Why would the discussion about a bid going out be a law matter?
The discussion pertains to the manner in which we're going to be doing the bidding for the engineering services, whether we're going to be utilizing a process which simply puts it out to bid and everybody can bid on it, or whether we're going to use another process in which we would put the general engineering services out to bid, which I consider a personnel contractual issue. But rather than, I don't want to fight over it, we'll just go into executive session, I'll give you advice on that, and then you can come back go into attorney-client session, and then you can discuss what you're going to do in open session. Or if you want to discuss that in open session, that's fine with me.
I know what you're getting at, and I'm not so sure that we can discuss that in open session.
That's why I recommended executive session. I don't want to hassle over whether it is or not. Just adjourn the meeting, and then we'll reconvene the meeting.
Okay.
Which means that we can't, in executive session, you can make decisions, but in attorney-client, you won't be making any decision.
We wouldn't be making, even if we
You
went into
would-
executive, we
Right.
wouldn't be making
Right.
any decisions on it anyway. Can I have a motion to go into attorney?
First, you have to adjourn the meeting.
Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Made by John Merwin, seconded by Chris Kennan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And we'll just go into executive session and you reconvene the meeting. I mean, attorney-client.
Into attorney-client, yes.
Chris, you missed one.
I missed one?
Yeah.
Actually, I did this one, because I looked at it. No, I mean, my signatures, but I remember looking at this particular, because there was backup on the boots, on Josh's boots. So this must be another one, because there was a whole backup which had the receipt of, this must be a copy. Because I remember
have
looking at
a,
it, because there's a difference between the price that we're reimbursing him for and the cost of the boots. So I actually did read that one.
Right.
Can I have a motion to come back into session?
So moved.
Made by Ralph Fidelli, seconded by
Second.
John Midwood. All in favor?
Aye.
Warren, would you like to?
Sure.
Yeah.
Just a matter of full disclosure, I just discussed in attorney-client session the various options that the town board had in proceeding with regard to engineering services for the project, for which we're receiving grants from the county, which will be done, I think, in 3 phases. In order to satisfy county requirements, because of the size of the engineering services that will be required for certainly the phases of this project, I'm going to recommend to the town board that we put the general engineering services for the town out to bid this year for 2009.
19.
I have prepared a draft RFP, which I'll give to you just for purposes of review for you to discuss. But the resolution would be to authorize the town supervisor, the town clerk, with the assistance of the attorney to the town, to prepare and send out a request for proposals for general engineering services for the town for 2009.
19.
19.
or for subsequent years?
It would be,
19 is, okay.
yeah, it would be renewable,
Okay.
Thereafter.
Renewable or not.
Right. Yeah,
Presumably,
at your
right?
discretion. In that way, it would avoid the requirement of putting each one of the phases of the projects out to bid, because we could use the engineering consulting firm that you retain for next year to provide those services. And the resolution would be to authorize that, subject to my verification with county planning that this would satisfy their requirements. If I determine that it does not satisfy the requirements, we're not going to do it.
All right, can I have a motion to proceed with that, have Warren do that RFP and
So moved.
made by Ralph Fidelli, seconded by John Merwin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. I think that's all I have.
Okay.
I'm gonna go if it's all right.
This is, we have to put this out?
No, I just want to
He has to
I want to
look it
give that
over
to the
and-
board members. If
There
they
is
have
some-
any input on that, they
It's
can
gotta
get
be
back to me.
North Main
Okay.
by 8.
And then once that's put out, that will be a public document.
So is this this is not a final version of this?
It's not a fine, and I haven't, to be honest, I haven't proofread it either.
Okay, so I think that should just be noted, that this is not a final version.
But it's generally the form that
Right.
I would recommend we use. So if you find anything, let me know. All right, thank you. Have a good holiday. If I don't see you.
And the same to you, Warren. Next are the minutes for November 8th, 2018, town board meeting. Are there any changes noted in here?
No, I saw the comment.
I
didn't see anything good.
There are a couple things that,
Eagle eye found something.
well, there's a couple just grammatical. There's a spelling on some names in here. Ann Sailor is A-N-N-E, she spells it. On page 4, it says shared fuel facility. That should really be shared storage facility. And it's also referred to in one other line in there as a shared fuel facility. Also, Christy Bonomo, she spells her name C-H-R-I-S-T-I. And I think that was about all that I noticed within there.
Sharpen for glasses.
And I'll give that to you. Can I have a motion with those changes to approve the minutes of November 8th?
So moved.
Made by John Merwin, seconded by
Second.
John Midwood. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we've finished with the meeting with council. General comment period. Do we have any comments from the audience?
I just had a question about, I know that the town zoning doesn't allow for lit signs as part of the advertising. And I noticed that the American Legion has a new illuminated moving sign, and I wondered if there was, if they had acquired a variance or something?
They have, the building department has notified them about that it doesn't conform. And I believe they're making application to the ZBA for a variance in relation to that. So,
Okay, thank you.
any other comments?
Sure.
Yes? No.
There was, the payment in lieu of taxes was so complex and technical that I really have no idea what it was. Would it be possible to explain briefly what's been accomplished there?
As far as for the pilot?
Yeah.
It just basically says what we're doing here is that we have the right to charge pilots. And that it cites law under which that is possible. First of all, any solar farm by state law is the property that is used for solar farms is tax exempt. The idea, I guess, in doing that was to promote, of course, the solar farms. Almost all municipalities have or are instituting pilot programs to recoup some of those taxes. And basically what ours says is that we have that right to be able to recoup that. Anything else? Okay, if not, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Made by John Midwood, seconded by Chris Kennan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.